And we're back. People, deluded. I'm back again. I've got Kweku in the building. Finally made his debut on the platform. We've got Chelsea Arsenal on Sunday. It makes sense to get my good mate on it, man. How you doing? Can you hear me?
I'm good. I'm good, man. I can hear you. How you getting on?
I'm good, man. I see you smiling. Obviously, you're my guy. And that Sunday, I hope there's no smiles, man. I can't lie to you.
Wait. We weren't guys. Last time we did a show together. Me and you had a back and forth. We had a back and forth.
That's why I'm specifically not even going to get into Rice Caicedo today. I'm sure you've been asked about it many times. I've been asked. I know where you're going to stand with the blue side. I know where I'm going to stand on the red side. I just want to
what I will say, CJ, is that, like, again, if you're a Chelsea fan, you're always going to say Caicedo, right? Because that's our
and
player.
vice versa. If the shoe's on the other foot,
Yeah, and if you're an Arsenal fan, you're going to say Declan Rice. What I will say, they are two quality players, and they are two players that are defining their positions. And in a world where football's become segmented, and I want a midfielder to be a DM, or I've got a number 10, or he's a number 8, or he's a deep line playmaker. These are midfielders that can do everything. And so we have to appreciate them. And it feels like the new Lampard-Gerrard debate. But ultimately, what those players were world-class, and they were winners. And ultimately, that's what we want as fans, for those players to achieve. We want those players to go and win the biggest trophies. And if they do, they'll go down as Premier League greats, because ability-wise, those players can do absolutely everything. Whether it's Declan Rice, whether it's Moises Caicedo, take your pick. It's what you fancy, but they are two world-class players, and it makes for an incredible matchup come Sunday.
Facts, man. And you know what? When I look at Rice playing this whole 8 stuff, obviously he's established himself as a 6. Maybe it was a case of Caicedo last season, but I've seen it personally as a non-Chelsea fan this year, in the sense that you're seeing a bit more from Caicedo. We know he can break up play, but in terms of, playing the ball forward, getting goals, getting assists, kind of doing that. And the maddest thing is, obviously, they're two different midfielders, both Rice and Caicedo. But I always feel with this debate, based on where Rice plays and where Caicedo plays at the moment for Chelsea, you're actually better off having a debate between Enzo Fernandez and Rice, because they're kind of more similar roles within their sides. But it's neither here nor there. I thought you was going to say one man stood up 2 against Bayern, and you know what happened when you lot went over there, man. But let me stop my nonsense, man. Let me stop my nonsense, man. I do want to ask you, the first thing I want to ask you is, obviously you're a Chelsea fan, innit? Like, you live and breathe Chelsea. What have you made of yourself? What have you made of yourselves this season?
It's been a mixed bag, right? And I feel like Chelsea are second in the league right now, so automatically people put them in a title race. I don't believe we're there yet. Sunday will be a huge test. In terms of if I'm just speaking with chest and I'm confident and we just won a game, of course you're going to catch me saying that Chelsea can challenge for the title. But if I'm being honest with myself, having watched Arsenal yesterday, having watched Arsenal in the North London derby, that's the standards, right? And again, you're an Arsenal fan, I'm a Chelsea fan, but I'm going to use a Liverpool comparison. Last season, there were a lot of fans calling out, saying that Arne Slot's a better manager than Mikel Arteta. I wasn't on that boat, because when you build something like Arteta's done at Arsenal, he's built it. Since 2019, he's been the manager. Every player at Arsenal, barring Bukayo Saka, was signed by Mikel Arteta. When you build something, the foundations are so solid. And so when you're having an off day for Arsenal is drawing against Sunderland. An off day for Liverpool, who I believe are a great side, and Arne Slot did a decent job, but he inherited the Klopp side. A bad day for Liverpool's losing at home against PSV 4-1. And so Arsenal are currently the standard bearers and the gold standard in the Premier League, because they've had time to grow, develop, and they're all singing off the same hymn sheet, whereas other teams are trying to catch up. And so as a Chelsea fan, I look at our team and there's a lot of promise, right? And I say this all the time. I go through individuals, and Chelsea should be challenging. You look at Reece James, in my opinion, one of the best right backs in the world. You look at Cucurella, one of the best left backs in the world.
Having a very good season.
He's still in his pocket. You look at Enzo Fernandez, one of the, I wouldn't say one of the best midfielders in the world, but this season playing very well. And he's a World Cup winner. Look at Caicedo, one of the best players in the world.
Caicedo.
Cole Palmer isn't even playing at the moment. One of the best players in the world. Esteval, need I say more? Esteval is
generational talent. Like, I can't lie to you. He's gonna do stuff in the game, bro.
So I look at all those players, and Chelsea should be competing, but the inconsistencies mean that we won't be there with Arsenal. It's highly likely we won't be there with Arsenal come May. But in a one-off game, anything can happen.
And you know what? For me, beyond the obvious of us wanting to keep our form and win a big game, and it's a London derby and all that kind of jazz with Chelsea. Me personally, I've been disappointed in the last 2 times we've gone to Stamford Bridge. I know you lot ain't beating us, I think, at your ground since like 2018, but I think what year was it? I think Palmer's debut season. I remember that first half. I think Saliba conceded a penalty, but we were kind of dying out there. The game where Rice kind of rescued the game for us with that kind of long range effort against Sanchez. And then I look at last year, we obviously took the lead, and it was a fantastic goal from Pedro Neto. But I felt the same way I did with Szoboszlai at Liverpool, in that these are great goals, great moments and stuff. But when you look at the sequences of play, and you could see several ports of call, like, for that not to happen, that's where that's where I kind of got annoyed. For me with Chelsea, I think like Maresca's from the same school of thought as Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta, and it's like Pep's up here, they've all kind of dithered. I do think he's a good manager. I find it weird, and I'd love to know your thoughts on your ownership, because depending on what Chelsea fan I personally speak to, some are more bullish than the others. For me, I think it's a matter of time before it all clicks. The only reason that I've got some sort of solace with Chelsea, because I actually think you lot are set up for quote unquote domination. When I look at you lot defensively and like how we are defensively, if I can waffle about Chelsea and their great standards defensively, specifically your centre backs, I actually genuinely think it's trouble for the league. I think you're a couple of defensive centre back signings away from actually doing madness. Like you said, Estavio, I'll go as far as to say he's a generational talent. He's 18 when he's calmed down, but he's cold. Palmer speaks for himself, Caicedo, and all the rest of them, as you said. So it will be a fantastic matchup. What weaknesses do you see in your team? Because obviously I can go and do analytics and stuff, but you're living and breathing with Chelsea. Like, if you were setting up against Chelsea, where do you hurt your team?
The weaknesses, and again, this is an interesting one, because in football, as fans, we like to look at individuals and say, yeah, Chelsea haven't got the personnel when it comes to centre backs, and that might be true, right? We might be a William Saliba away from being real contenders. But what I will say is that last season, Liverpool ran away with the league, right? We conceded only 2 more goals than Liverpool last season. And that's with a moribund defence, Reece James injured, in and out of the team, centre backs changing. Exactly. And this season, we've kept 4 clean sheets in a row in the Premier League. Kept a clean sheet midweek against Barcelona. Barcelona haven't gone goalless in over 50 games. And I know they've got problems
several levels above them, I must admit. Several.
But they didn't score a goal. And so I understand why people want to point to Chelsea's defensive frailties as the reason why they won't win the league. I don't necessarily point to that. I think our issue is inexperience. I think our issue is the inability to manage tough periods of games. I think where Arsenal are one of the best teams in the world, not just because they've got some of the best players in the world, but because they know how to manage situations and manage games. And that's where I think Chelsea falls short. When we get that experience and we understand how to manage situations, and if you're not going to win a game, don't lose it, that kind of mentality, then we'll be there. I don't necessarily think it's a personnel issue. Of course, I want to go and get a world-class centre-back. Of course, I want to go get a world-class goalkeeper. But for me, it's up there. It's a mentality thing. Because how can Chelsea go and beat PSG in a Club World Cup final 3-0, beat Barcelona 3-0 in the Champions League, but then lose at home against Sunderland, lose at home against Brighton? That's a mentality thing. That's not a personnel thing. So, yeah, of course, every team wants to improve in terms of individuals and personnel and bringing in players in the transfer window. But for me, it's a mentality shift that needs to happen at Chelsea before we become real contenders and can rustle the feathers of the likes of Arsenal when it comes to challenging for league titles.
Dumb question, Kweku, but based on what you said there, how do you install that mentality? Is it just a thing where you just have to go through those tough moments and obviously learn from it? Like, I look at Arsenal, we ain't won the league or won anything, full stop. But the last 3 years, the good, bad, and the ugly, we can kind of use that to kind of drive us. Is it a that thing? Is it more experienced players? Is it players having to kind of manage themselves on a football pitch as much as Maresca doing what he's doing? How do you get that then?
Yeah, you get that from experience, and you don't necessarily have to win things to get experience. But I look at Arsenal, for example, those years of finishing second 3 years in a row, that heartbreak, that feeling you have at the end of the season when you haven't lifted the trophy that you've been working all year for, that feeling drives you on. I saw that feeling drive Liverpool on in the 1920 season, those years finishing behind that incredible Man City team and eventually broke through. And what you see with teams that break through, in my opinion anyway, is that they benefit from being clear of the opposition. For example, 04-05 Chelsea that won the league. We were clear of everybody by January. We weren't in a title race, and that alleviates the pressure. That means that all you do is concentrate on your performance. Same as Liverpool, 1920. They were in epic title races with Man City before, but when they finally broke through, it wasn't an epic title race. Liverpool stormed the league.
They Usain bolted it, yeah.
Exactly, and that means you can like concentrate on your own performance. That's what I'm seeing from Arsenal and Arsenal fans right now. You're just in your own world. You're concentrating on your own performances. You don't even really have to look at Man City results or Liverpool results or Chelsea results because you know if you win your games,
Just
you
do
win the
your
league.
job.
And where Arsenal maybe fallen short before is that when it gets into a title race, whether it's you getting into your own heads or it's the experience of Man City pulling them through, it becomes difficult. I think Arsenal will benefit from the fact of if you go and beat Chelsea on the weekend, we can kind of call it a day. I know Arsenal fans won't do it, but we can kind of call it a day in terms of the
Don't
title
wait to
race.
go, man.
But I think that'll be important for Arsenal because the worst thing for Arsenal, the absolute worst thing, is say April rolls around and City are within touching distance, and then you've got to go to the Etihad. All of a sudden, it brings back PTSD. It brings back memories of you not winning the league. It brings back memories of 22, 23 when you go there, Rob Holden, and they slap you up. Like it brings back memories that you don't want to revisit. And so I think Arsenal will benefit from being up and clear and away from everybody else, and then you can focus your attention on getting the job done, obviously, in the Premier League. But what we saw midweek against Bayern Munich shows me that Arsenal can also be serious contenders for the Champions League as well.
You know what? Yeah, as you were speaking, yeah, and you touched on the point. Like when you were speaking, I was saying, yeah, I agree, obviously, but it's like April, May, and you touched on it. It's like that's kind of my thing. I wouldn't even obviously it's PTSD because we've that's typically where we've crumbled in it. But I wouldn't even say PTSD. It's just when you have to go through that moment, obviously come out the right side to obviously see it, and that's the only kind of criticism. Obviously, we can only play what we're playing. For my thing is from August to the end of the year, still have these talking points. And we've done all right. There's been some stumbles, but we've done our thing. Obviously, we beat Bayern, won the North London derby. God willing, we win on Sunday. The only thing that would have made that better is if we had this kind of run of games, like you said, in April, in May, and things of that ilk. So you're bang on, man, really and truly. And you made a good point.
I will say,
go on.
Sorry, what I will say as well,
No,
CJ, is this is an Arsenal team that they're just showing me something different, right? The criticism earlier on the season, yeah, they're winning, but it's boring, it's turgid, it's lethargic. Mate, the last two games you scored 7 goals against Spurs and against Bayern Munich. Without forwards. And again, this is another thing that I really do like about Arsenal fans this season. And again, I say fans because people want to talk about the dissipated effect that fans have on football teams. And I completely disagree. I think fans have a huge effect. And what Arsenal fans are doing that I love is that when you get an injury, it's not an excuse. It's next man up. And what I saw from Arsenal in previous years is, for example, 22-23, Saliba goes down. It felt like the sky was falling. It felt like you couldn't win the league because Saliba was so imperious and Holden was just, the level drop was just massive. And I think Arsenal fans in their mind was like, there's no way we can go to the Etihad and win without Saliba playing. Now, you won that game without Gabriel, the life and soul of Arsenal, in my opinion. Saka's missed time. Odegaard's missed time. Gyökeres has missed time. Havertz has missed time. Saliba has missed time. In previous years, that's a death sentence for Arsenal. In this season, it's like next man up. Trossard goes off. You see Madueke come on and score a goal. Calafiori come off the bench and get the assist. Arsenal fans are not using injuries as an excuse. And I think that's so important because when you go to the Emirates, there's a sense of confidence. If things aren't going your way after 30 minutes, there's a sense of this team's going to get the job done. And I think that's been a huge shift because in previous years, you feel it get antsy, tetchy. Last season, I saw Saka go down. And to a lot of Arsenal fans, that's where the title race kind of died. It was like, we can't win the league without Bukayo Saka. Saka missed time this season, and we saw Madueke come in and do the business.
As you referred to.
Exactly. So this has been a massive shift in Arsenal, and anybody kind of denying that is hating. And what I've jumped on previous podcasts, right, with Arsenal fans, and I said, ignore the hate. It's outside noise. Where Arsenal have elevated to is where you want to be, right? You are currently, if I'm being objective, the most hated team in the country. You only become the most hated team in the country when you're a threat. People are scared. People are
had
nervous.
that with Jose. We had it with Wenger and the Alex Fergusons and the Peps, etc. So you're bang on.
Think about how bad Man United have been for so long, right? People still have a hate for them because they were so successful. You only become hated.
They ruined childhood.
They ruined childhood. You know, the most liked Arsenal team was the team post maybe 2006 with Arsene Wenger, where you played nice football, had diminutive number 10, weren't doing anything. And people like that Arsenal team. You don't want to be liked. You want to be hated. Arsenal fans, again, I don't know why I'm doing a rallying cry to Arsenal fans, but
I wish you was an Arsenal fan. I was just thinking that, bro.
Bro, my advice to you as Arsenal fans, ignore the outside noise. This hate, this narrative, this whole thing of set piece FC. Embrace it. Embrace the darkness because you only become hated when you're great. And so that's my piece on Arsenal.
No, you said it there. You said embrace it and ignore the outside noise. This is things that I try and preach on YouTube when we're together on TalkSport or when I'm on TalkSport full stop. But it does probably fall on deaf ears. So it's nice for someone that's got F all to do with Arsenal, respectfully, Kweku, saying the same things, because obviously there's parallels. You've seen your team win things. I've seen my team win things. And we look at, I think you're kind of like me in that, yeah, we love clubs and we love players and things, but we kind of look at football at its purest level, the psychological factors and the purism and all of that kind of stuff. So you're bang on the money. I do want to ask you though, yeah, how do you view Mikel Arteta? Because for me as an Arsenal fan, bro, it's a weird one. It's like, as a manager, from purely from a tactical point of view, if you gave him some random 11 players and some tactics, I think he's a bit of a genius. I think if he got sacked, he wouldn't be without a job. I think he's, you know, his record, quote unquote, speaks for itself. All the statistics, I would trade them for a title, yeah, but you see the statistics come out, you know, we were doing and being competed in Europe, but it's just that getting over the line. So it's like, how do you view Mikel Arteta? And God forbid, yeah, for my football club as an outsider, if we were to end the season trophyless, would you like, is it a persisting with Arteta thing, or is it like we got to change course now?
You got to persist, because, like, okay, modern football, right? You have a litany of head coaches. You have very few managers. Mikel Arteta is a manager. He's a manager, and that's a different role. That's why I was critical of Arne Slot. He's a head coach. He's a head coach. And now you're seeing situations where you're asking him to manage. Because right now, this Liverpool situation is that way you have to manage the situation. The dressing room seems a little bit fractured. There's things going on that you need to manage. And he's struggling to do that. Arteta's asked to sign off on the transfers, also on the training pitch, also still in the tactics, also dealing the man management. He's a manager, and there's very few of them. Jurgen Klopp was a prime example of that. He wasn't just a coach. The X's and O's, yeah, genius, right? Gegenpressing, whatever. And same as Arteta, defensively, the best manager in the world, the best defensive manager in the world. But it's the management. Every part of Arsenal, he's got his fingerprints over. And the one thing that I kind of noticed massively of Arteta is that teams have a soul, right? Teams have a lineage, a history. And the history of Arsenal, again, I say history, starting with Arsene Wenger, was they play great football. It's entertaining football. No matter if Arsenal win or lose, you're playing the best football in the league. Like, bear me 2 seconds. I'm going to turn these lights on.
No, do your thing. I was enjoying it, people. Don't worry. We'll be back in a sec. Don't worry. Lights go off. Things happen. Hopefully things go wrong for his team on Sunday in that aspect, you know, dropping clangers and whatnot. But
don't be like that. But yeah, with Mikel Arteta, where I say he's a manager is that he has changed the whole face of your football club. Think about when he came in, where you're at. Arsenal fans weren't going to the Emirates. Europa League games, you weren't selling out.
Let's have it right. There was
empty seats at the Emirates. It was toxic. It was so toxic. It was banter FC. Everyone slagging off AFTV as the reason why Arsenal are poor. Arsenal were the laughing stocks, right? Arteta has come 100%. In and not only changed the feeling around the club, where it's almost impossible to get an Arsenal ticket now, he's also changed fans' mentality. The fact that fans are willing to accept pragmatic football at the Emirates is something I've never thought I would see. Because growing up, Arsenal were always that team that played football and did it the right way. I'm not saying this is not the right way, but for Arteta to come into an institution as big as Arsenal and change that mindset tells me that he's a manager. The same thing that Klopp did at Liverpool. When Klopp took over from Brendan Rodgers, they were on their knees. They were in the mud. He's a manager. He built that. That's why when anybody tries to compare Arne Slot to Mikel Arteta, there's no comparison to the job that they've done.
Arteta turn around and say he won the league, which he did, but
this is a harder job. Like to build something is, and again, this is why I probably will always have to Alex Ferguson over Pep Guardiola. Pep is an incredible manager, but Pep has always been given the keys to the Ferrari. Alex Ferguson had to soup up that car and make it a Ferrari. He had to put a spoiler on it, put a new bumper on it, and he created Manchester United. And that's what that's what Arteta is trying to do at Arsenal. It's the same, and this I always use these comparisons, right? If he stays at Arsenal for another 5 or 6 years, if he can have the legacy and lineage that Simeone has got at Atletico Madrid, he would have done a fantastic job. If Arteta leaves Arsenal having won a couple of league titles, getting to Champions League finals, domestic trophies, that's a fantastic job. No one's going to come to the league and win 5 or 6 like Pep did. That doesn't exist in football anymore. It's too competitive. Right. If Arteta can see his time out at Arsenal with a couple of league titles, he's a legend. Bro, Jurgen Klopp is in top 5 conversations of Premier League managers of all time. He won one. If Arteta wins one at Arsenal, bro, that job is infinitely greater than the job that Conte did at Chelsea, that Ancelotti did at Chelsea, that even Tuchel did at Chelsea winning the Champions League, because he built it. And there's something to be said about somebody who built something.
I think you're bang on the money. That's kind of my point in that. On one hand, love Arteta, love everything he's doing. I mean, how could you not? If he left today from where he was in 2019, as you referred to now, you've done a great job. It's just for me now, being this competitive, like doing what we're doing in Europe on occasion, coming second. It's now not just a pipe dream. You're kind of flirting with getting over the line. You're closer to doing that than going the other way. I don't want you to be the man before the man. Like what? We're in our 30s, yeah. Like we've seen Arsene Wenger's football, as you said, where what Invincibles would have been a blend in it. We had the skill and determination, but we also played pretty football down to the last 20 years, where, as you referred to, the diminutive players. I feel like Arsenal fans older than us would be able to kind of link this akin to George Graham's kind of football
George
sort of
Graham.
thing, with being still like, you know, that it's now like, even when we was winning stuff under Wenger and whatnot, the 1-0 to the Arsenal, you didn't kind of deep it. It's like now I can see those kind of foundations. I just don't want him to be the man before the man. And obviously, you know, the noise that's going to happen and stuff. So for me, it'd be catastrophic not to win silverware. I do want to ask you about your gaffer though. Like, go on.
Could I ask you one question about your
Go
gaffer
ahead,
real
man.
quickly?
You know you can.
If you win, actually not even if you win, right now, sitting here right now at the end of November, is this the best Arsenal team you've seen since the Invincibles?
Fucking hell, that's a good question, Kweku. It's gonna have to be, bro. It's gonna have to be, because what, like you said, since the Invincibles, you made a good point earlier. Obviously, in terms of playing football, when we had Santi and Cesc Fabregas and Alexis, that was all great. But in terms of being somewhat entertaining, difficult to beat, going into big games and European games, they used to be a write-off automatically during this Emirates era. Now it's not. Now, like you said, whether it's injuries or not, I have the belief that I can compete and be competitive, and I think that is the minimum for all big clubs. When fucking hell, Quakey, to answer your question, yeah. And the last, I'm assuming you're talking about this 4-year period, including now, in it, like since we've got into that conversation.
Well, I'm talking about just this team right now that you've got right now, the top of the league, the top of the Champions League group phase or league phase. Is this the best Arsenal team that you've seen since 03-04?
You know what? When I look through the squad and everything we've spoken about, I can't say no. It has to be. It has to be. There was a time where I would have bit your arm off to have one of Saliba or one of Timber and all the other defensive aspects. When you've got them together, and as you know, having good players and shiny new toys is only half the job. So going back to what you said with the philosophy, you throw this in. Quakey, you're right. Yeah. 100 to answer your question, 100%. And that's my thing. If we don't win silverware, and I even caveat that by saying majors, because I think you shut a lot of people up if you win the Prem or the Champs. I don't necessarily think the league or the FA Cup cuts it. I think it somewhat saves a bit of face, if you could say that. But to answer your question, yeah. Obviously, we've spoken about my manager. I need to ask you about yours. Like, I like Maresca. Yeah. I think he's a good tactician and all that stuff. But like I said, and I keep saying, you're living and breathing Chelsea, bro. Like, everything Maresca, man.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because I said that manager thing, and Chelsea's never really been the club to give the manager the reins. Like it's always been a club where the owner or the hierarchy are dictating terms, really, and the manager is effectively a head coach. Thomas Tuchel tried to come in and do that, and Clear Lake quickly showed him what's what and got him out the door and brought in Graham Potter. So I think that X's and O's wise, I'm really happy with Maresca. If you think about where Chelsea have been over the last 3 or 4 years, Clear Lake came in, their first full season, finished 12th, disastrous season, got through 3 managers, Tuchel, and then Graham Potter, and then Frank Lampard. Then the next season comes, they're bringing Poch, a bit of a left field appointment. Chelsea fans aren't really having it, but we see progress. We buy Cole Palmer as well, finish 6th and get to the League Cup final, lose that to Liverpool. So from 12th to 6th, improvement. And then they make the surprising decision to part ways with Poch, and bringing in Maresca, who had never managed at the highest level before, managed Leicester in the Championship. And in his first season, finishes 4th, hit the target. Won the Conference League at a minimum, that was the target, done that. And also won the Club World Cup, putting forward a performance in the Club World Cup final against PSG that no other English team could replicate. Think about who PSG ran through in that Champions League. They ran through Villa, they ran through Arsenal, they ran through City, they ran through everybody. And Chelsea put forward a performance in that final that suggested that we are here and we're ready to compete. And so when I look at Enzo Maresca, I like what he's done so far. The one thing that he doesn't have is that he doesn't have that enigmatic personality that wins fans round, that makes it feel like it's us against them. He's very much a man that says the right things and does his job. Whereas at Chelsea, the managers that we fell in love with,
you had charisma.
the Jose Mourinho's, had charisma. The Mourinhos, the Tuchels, the Contes, the managers that made you feel something, and they were a bit cantankerous, and they were a bit difficult to deal with, and they were a little bit volatile, and that probably didn't serve Chelsea best in the long run. But in the short run, they made you feel something. And Maresca's yet to do that really, but that comes with results. If Maresca goes and wins major trophies, we are going to fall in love with him. And so overall, I'm happy with what he's done. And what I really like about Maresca is his tactical flexibility. And you mentioned it earlier. These are Pep Guardiola disciples. They both worked with him at Man City. But where Maresca differs is that he's not tied to a specific philosophy. Obviously, he's got his style of play that he wants to play when Chelsea are clear favourites and will have the majority of the ball. He wants the goalkeeper to dwell on the ball, lure the pressing team in. Then we play the pass to the free man, and that's how we play out. We play through them. But in the big games, he has shown tactical versatility that I haven't really seen from a Chelsea manager in a long time. Whether it's against Barcelona, playing Pedro Neto as a striker, whether it's against Liverpool, playing Malo Gusto as a centre midfielder, whether it's against PSG, going to that three at the back and basically playing with wing backs. In big games, he makes big decisions, and more time than not, they come off. So as a tactical manager, I've been really impressed. What football is about, though, is the emotion, is how it makes you feel. We've got a slice of that against Liverpool where we scored the last-minute winner and you run down the touchline. We want more of that. We want things to make us feel like the way that maybe you're a little bit older, right? So you've seen a lot. But those young Arsenal fans that haven't seen Arsenal be successful, the way they feel about Mikel Arteta is that he is their guy. It's the same way that in the early years of Wenger, when he was winning multiple league titles, Arsenal fans were like, "This is my guy." When Alex Ferguson was at United, that's my guy. When at Chelsea, when Mourinho first came in back to back, that's our guy. Maresca hasn't yet garnered that feeling, but that comes with results. And at Chelsea, more than any other football club, when you win, we love you. When you don't, we don't. So.
You know what? I hear that, and out of all the things you said there, yeah, especially with what you said about his flexibility, that's something that I kind of have seen, but like you've kind of confirmed it in my mind. So with that being said, yeah, how do you think, obviously you don't know him and you're not the manager and he could throw surprises, but how do you think he sets up on Sunday then? Do you think he goes with wing backs? Do you think he does the Pedro Neto upfront thing? Do you think he keeps, it simple? Do you think he potentially, like you said, in big games, he wants to keep it to dwell? Does he go with that? Like if you had to put money down and guess, like what would be your thinking with that, Kweku?
Bro, it's so difficult. And I've gone back and forth on this. And I did a tactics show earlier on. And the co-presenter was like, who do you think you go with up top? I don't know. What I do know is that for us to be successful, and there's so many Arsenal players you can talk about, great Arsenal players, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Saliba. For me, Chelsea will win this game if we shut down Zubimendi. Because he is the metronome that makes everything tick. Like, if we can, I want a man marking job. I want Ander Herrera and Eden Hazard
on
job.
him like a
I want whoever it is to shut down Zubimendi. Because as great as Declan Rice is, dictating tempo and dictating play is not his game. He does all the other things brilliantly, but sitting deep and seeing the pitch and painting pictures is not necessarily what he does. And so if we can shut down Zubimendi, who can find that free man, that can find the Saka first time, who can isolate his fullback, that's where we'll have trouble. So for me, I want to see a packed out midfield that stops Zubimendi dictating the tempo of the game. And also I want to see a forward that gives Saliba questions, right? Saliba is one of the best centre backs in the world, no question about it. There's a few things he doesn't like. He doesn't like the ball over the top, and he doesn't like when players maybe drift into half spaces where he has to kind of make a decision and go or not. And a lot of times,
Gabriel Magalhaes, that could harm us and help you lot as well.
Exactly. Magalhaes is the attack dog, right? And Magalhaes is so athletic and good
cop, bad cop.
Good cop, bad cop, and all the best teams had that. We had like Carvalho, Terry, Ferdinand Vidic. You got that Saliba and Gabriel. But I would like to see a João Pedro leading the line, because what he does is he can drop into midfield and also pack it out. So when we don't have the ball, it makes it difficult for you to play through. But also when we're going forward, he's not necessarily somebody who's going to crash the box. He'll put into spaces where
and then the others ghost in the half spaces.
Exactly. And also the elephant in the room, the 18-year-old elephant in the room. Let's see what Esteval does. Because honestly, brother, Honestly, I've seen talented players in my football club, bro. My favorite player of all time is Gianfranco Zola. He's the reason why I support Chelsea. My favorite
I've
player of
met him.
all
That's
time.
the first time I've actually been starstruck, off topic. But go
Bro,
ahead.
same. I met him when he was manager at West Ham. I was at West Ham's training ground because my brother used to play for them, and he was manager there. I ran into him at Chadwell Heath, and I was just like, right, like you are
It's
the
like a
reason.
kid who's seen Santa Claus, isn't it?
Bro, he's the reason why I'm here doing this right now. Like I fell in love with football because of him, and
So
so
soft
he's the
spoken.
bro, soft spoken, just a genius on the football pitch as well. And I was young when he left Chelsea. He left in 2003, but he was just always going to be my guy. But I've seen him play for my football club. I've seen Eden Hazard on my football club. But when I talk about pure ability, Esteval might top the lot, man. He is unbelievable. And what I like about him as well is that with a lot of young players, their success at a young age is predicated on blistering pace. He's got pace, but not blistering
He's got
pace.
everything. So he relies on nothing in a sense.
Exactly. He doesn't rely on blistering pace. What he relies on is the decision making, is his ability with the ball at his feet. And if he can have one of those games where you're just like, oh, wow, we've always got a chance. But again, he's 18 years old. He's come up against the best fullbacks in the country as a combination. And so it's going to be a tough night for him. But for me, Chelsea, tactically, what I want to see Maresca do is be brave. Be brave with your selections. And he has been brave in previous games. But it's at Stamford Bridge. If this was at the Emirates, it would be a completely different game.
You can understand being a bit more pragmatic, but you're at your own gaff.
Exactly. Bro, this is 4:30, all eyes on me. You know I love kickoff times. 4:30, all eyes on me is when the real dogs come out. Is when the real dogs come out. Is when, like,
facts.
If you're tucked away at 3:00 on a Saturday, no one's really seeing it. This is the game. Bro, I've been in the office today in TalkSport, right? And everyone hates Chelsea. But because of the way the title race is going and because of the fact that more people hate Arsenal, I'm having Spurs fans, Man United fans, Liverpool fans come up to me and being like, yo, you lot need to beat them. And so this is high pressure, higher stakes, and this is what you play for. Off the back of beating Barcelona, can you go and make a statement and beat Arsenal and go within 3 points of them? If you can, I might be sat here in a week or two time telling you something completely different, saying, yeah, I think we can compete. But if we lose, it's back to where we were and we need to go and build. So, brother, I can't overstate the importance of this game. For Arsenal, because you've done your work, a draw is not the worst result.
It's not the worst, but you know how people are going to carry on. You mentioned Sunderland, and obviously with the talking points there, and then obviously a week removed from that last week, the talking points there now. And you made a good point. You lot have beat Barcelona. Whatever people say, Chelsea made them look very average. Great performance. It's Barcelona. The same with us in Bayern Munich. Again, I know what you're saying. Keep your feet on the ground. There's many things to go, but we've got like 29 points or something. You lot can cut the gap. Obviously, we can extend it. Away from the obvious, though, for me, I am looking at a performance away from obvious reasons. Is because I've just not been happy with the last two performances at Stamford Bridge. So I need to see something in that regard. So it'll be an interesting matchup. Admittedly, prior to this week, I never would have seen Pedro Neto play as a false nine, but I did kind of expect that there would be the galaxy brain stuff with Maresca and Arteta. You have inverted fullbacks, you have strikers dropping in, packing out midfield, and it will probably be decided either by fine margins, whether that be mistakes, whether from both sides, whether that be set pieces. I do want to ask you about Starville because my fans will know, I'm a massive fan of Brazilian football. Been waffling about the guy when he was there, waffling about him at Chelsea. Obviously, I was praying and hoping that the rumors weren't true. I genuinely believe in his ability. Obviously, being 18, being Brazilian, next Neymar, all of these shouts, people see an 18-year-old, a talented 18-year-old, and they struggle to understand that tomorrow you're not going to be there. I genuinely think he's a generational talent. But I wanted to ask you, him or Cole Palmer, who's got the higher ceiling for you? And how do they long-term both get into the team? Is it a thing where they both have a license to roam? Talk to me.
Good question. Okay, so in terms of ceiling, Esteval's was higher. Esteval at the age of 13, 14 was being called the Brazilian Messi. I listened to a lot of Tim Vickery. He was on Sky Sports, TalkSport, talking about him. And he was saying about how we need to appreciate him because, brother, this doesn't happen often, right? When you have an Endrick, when you have a Neymar, when you have a Vinicius, they go to Spain because that style of football suits their style of play. He said, nah, I want the bread and butter of Premier League, which I absolutely love. But we don't see that often. And that's why I love the way that Maresca is kind of managing his minutes. And he doesn't start every game for Chelsea. He didn't play a minute of the game against Burnley last weekend because when you have a young, precocious talent like this that's still growing, he's still a kid.
To take time with it.
Take time with it. We've seen with Lamine Yamal over the last few months, injuries starting to pick up because at 16 years old, he's playing every game for Spain at the Euros. And so with Esteval, I'm I'm so excited. And I think that ceiling-wise, I love Cole Palmer. Ceiling-wise, Esteval's is higher. In terms of how they both fit into the team, that is the interesting question that Chelsea fans, I won't say are avoiding, but it's not something you need to think about right now. The reason why Esteval chose Chelsea over Real Madrid and all the other teams that are in for him was because he was made a promise. And again, I got this from Tim Vickery. He was made a promise that long-term, he will be played as a number 10. He won't be stuck out on the wing.
That's interesting, you know.
So he was given those assurances that long-term, he'll be a number 10 at Chelsea. Again, I don't know how you can make those promises, not knowing who the manager is going to be, but he was given those assurances. And so we know that Cole Palmer, Maresca favors playing him down the middle. Under Pochettino, he played a bit more off the right. And Cole Palmer, when I spoke to him at the Club World Cup, I asked him what's his favorite position. He said, just in that inside half space, not as a right winger, but on that right-hand side. Doesn't necessarily love playing as number 10, but in the way
a bit like what we see Odegaard at our club.
Exactly. But you figure it out, man. When you've got a collection of talent, you figure it out. I think long-term, or not long-term, but when Cole Palmer comes back in, towards the back end of the season, Cole Palmer number 10, Esteval on the right-hand side. But what you see with good footballers, and we saw glimpses when they played together a little bit, is good footballers like to play with good footballers.
Facts.
Good footballers like to they figure it out. When you've got a collection of good footballers, they find a way to play with each other. And that's why when I look at Liverpool, again, I know you're an Arsenal fan, I'm a Chelsea fan. I ain't having this excuse of we spent 400 mil and that's the reason why we're not good. You spend 400 mil and you get worse. I'm sorry, that's not an excuse. If they're Arsenal to go and spend 400 mil in the transfer window and
we're getting killed. We're getting blasted, mate.
You're getting killed. You're getting killed. And with Liverpool,
you look the same as well.
Bro, us lot, Man United, Arsenal,
Definitely
they're getting that corn. But Liverpool, we treat them as slightly differently, and there's various reasons why that's the case. But in my opinion, when you have good players, they figure out a way to play with each other, and I think Cole Palmer and Esteval will figure it out. I think personally, Cole Palmer in the middle and Esteval on the right.
And even that, like you said, you figure it out, and they're kind of tomorrow's problems. And there's also an element of sink or swim. Like them, like you said, you don't know who the manager is. There might be a time where Esteval's in his final form, playing out of his skin. Cole Palmer the same. The manager just decides which one, kind of thing. It's good problems. That is genuinely good problems to have. It's good, bro. As Stavio, honestly, I think he's going to be the flag bearer for Brazil to a degree in the World Cup. And I like the little things like Carlo Ancelotti apparently scolded him in training because he wasn't pressing and stuff. He's kind of making like he's between Maresca and Carlo, they're kind of making him understand the ability is there, but it's everything you do. Everything has to have quality. So it's exciting. My last question for you then, like, give me a prediction. I'm going 2-1 Arsenal off the bat.
Do you know what? Before you played against Bayern Munich, I was bullish, right? And I was like, we can go. If you gave me a point right now, brother, if you gave me a point right now, I would snatch your hand off.
So would I, man. We do it at the Emirates, man. Let's just keep it moving today.
Keep it like, mutually assured destruction, isn't it? Like just I'll take a draw, we keep it stepping. You stay where you are, we stay where we are. We all know where each other are.
Facts.
Because what I saw against Bayern Munich, it scared me, man. I've made peace, and again, I hate Arsenal. I've made peace with the fact that Arsenal are going to win the league.
Last time I was on TalkSport with you, you said that, and I was like, yeah, you're jumping the gun, but you've been consistent with that, to be fair.
I've made peace with that a long time ago. I looked at the lay of the land, and I said, yeah, this is the best team in the country. What the game against Bayern Munich showed me was that you might be the best. You are the best team in Europe. And where I've made peace with the Premier League, I've made peace with the Premier League, right? And I'm going to park that. What really scares me is if Arsenal run away with this league title, and you are in the latter stages of the Champions League, I don't see many teams beating you over 2 legs. And so
everyone keeps saying
for that reason, and for what I saw from Arsenal in midweek, I'm still going to predict a draw, but not with chest. Because there was a 15 minutes, brother, like Trossard went off, right? And you felt like not the air leave the Emirates, but people were like, oh, that's, bro, he came off, Calafiori crossed to Noni Madueke, comes in for him, boom, goal. Arsenal could kill you in 10 minutes. And so with Chelsea, and if you watch the Chelsea game against Barcelona, we gave Ferran Torres a chance in the first minute.
Missed a sitter.
And he missed a sitter. Arsenal ain't missing that. Arsenal scoring that. And what Arsenal don't do is they don't give you chances. And what Chelsea aren't great at doing is the chances that they do get, they don't capitalize. Barcelona should have been 6-0. Spurs, who we beat 1-0, Spurs should have been 5-0. Chelsea aren't great at capitalizing on chances. Arsenal give you very few chances. So the 1 or 2 chances you do give us, we have to take them. I don't back us to do that. And I don't back us to not give you a chance throughout the 90 minutes. And when we give Arsenal a chance, they're going to score it. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw tentative 1-1 draw. But if you're asking, that's the heart kind of prediction. In my head, I think that Arsenal might just edit it.
You know what it is? I'm a bit different. In my heart, I genuinely think it's a draw, man. I just think I feel the Chelsea games at the Bridge have been a bit weird in recent years. When I say recent years, really just the last two, and that they've been cagey in others, stalemate in others. Probably two little brain farts from either team we've conceded, and we've kept it moving. I'd love a win because I'm still high off the North London derby and Bayern Munich. And, we're in that period now. As you know, it's the festive period. The games are coming thick and fast. But we'll have to see on Sunday, man. Kweku, it's always a pleasure, man. Where can people find you, though?
You can find me
Plug everything, man.
On socials, KwekuAfari. So Kweku spelled KWEKU_Afari, AFARI. That's on Insta, that's on TikTok, that's on Twitter, same handle. And what I've been inspired to do by people like you is that I've got a YouTube channel that I started a long time ago. That I don't do anything on it.
I always get on to you about that, man. You're doing yourself
I know.
You
text me. You saying I left money on the table, and I hear it. I hear it. So I'm going to restart my YouTube channel, start posting videos again. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Again, it's on YouTube, just KwekuAfari. And yeah, I'll be back in the content creation game.
Nah, you need to. And what about the other podcast with Tony, man?
RNS. How have I forgotten RNS, bro?
See what I'm saying?
RNS, make sure you follow that. RNS Sports, so it's _RNS Sport on socials. It's where we keep it real. If you know what RNS stands for, you know what it stands for.
Very good show.
And it's where we just talk about football, basketball, NFL. So make sure you check that out on socials as well.
And again, people, he said it, you heard it from the horse's mouth. I'll do him one better. Everything will be in the description. Make sure you're following, you're subscribing, you're engaging, and you're doing all that good stuff. On behalf of my viewers, on behalf of myself, Kweku, it's always a pleasure, man. May the best team win, it. Fair enough on Sunday. But, bro, I'm going to let you get on with your day. One love for that, though.
Nice one, brother. Take it easy.
So, yeah, people, like, comment, subscribe. We're out. Peace.